So, welcome guys, it's Andy here from D6 Evolution along with Stephen Box.
How you doing, Andy?
Very good, mate. And today Stephen's going to be running us through his GT winning Blood Angels list, how to play with it, and of course, how to play against it. So, anyone who's new to D6 Evolution, we're a competitive 40k channel which is aiming to make you guys better 40k players. So, take it away, Stephen. So,
yeah, thank you very much for having me back on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so last time was all about Deathwatch, and I've got to say, after I spoke to Stephen about his Deathwatch, I had to get a Deathwatch army. So I'm fully prepared to get a full Blood Angels army after talking to you this time.
I feel like I should be on commission for Deathwatch.
Yeah, I don't know how many armies you started after that video we made.
Yeah, well, I still get messages every week. Steve, how many Storm Bolters, how many Storm Shields do I need in a veteran squad? It's like yeah.
The answer is all of them. I think you'll find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
if you can take a Storm Shield, you always take a Storm Shield.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got a very similar motto with the Blood Angels. If you can take a jump pack, you take one.
Yeah.
So, Andy, how do you want me to do this? Go through my list first, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think before we start, let's take a bit of fun. How are you coping in lockdown at the moment?
Yeah, all right, actually. It's obviously a little bit different that I can't play, but it hasn't affected my life too much. Luckily, I'm very fortunate for that. I work from home anyway, and obviously I've been making loads of content, and I'm going live every single day to talk about Warhammer 40k on my YouTube channel. And again, just to sort of bring the community together a little bit more. So I go live at 6 o'clock every evening, chat about 40k, answer people's questions. So yeah, if you guys have got any questions for me, 6 o'clock, my YouTube, that's where it's at every day.
Absolutely, trying to keep the competitive community alive, really, because you can play a little bit on tabletop tactics, but we can't get our tournament fixed at the moment, can we? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and people just want to talk about it. You know, most of the game is theory, isn't it? Like when you really sort of break it down, you've got a bit of hobby, but you know, yes, you could be sat in bed. You're like, oh, what if I just took that unit out and I put this one in, or I might just go read that book. You know, so the game's very theory based, and that's what I'm just trying to bring along over on the channel at 6. So yeah, come along for the chat.
Okay, that's good. So let's dive straight in here. Let's talk about your Blood Angel list.
Yeah. So essentially, it started at LVO since the Psychic Awakening came out, and I was actually going to take Eldar to the LVO, but then after playing the Blood Angels, I just fell in love with their playstyle, and it was something really unique, really different. And my list has had a few iterations and renditions of what it's become now, but I really feel like I've got it to that kind of optimum sweet spot of efficiency, and I've had some absolutely fantastic success with it, along with the new changes to the ITC mission pack as well. So it's been a combination of things, but it's a very, I would say, like high skill level army to play, because you live and die by your charges, and you make a mistake, it's game over. So but it's so fun to play. It's one of the most fun armies I've ever used. Yeah, it really is.
I think the supplement, rather than giving a huge one little power trick, it's giving you so many cool little tricks you can use, isn't it? Which we'll get on towards the end of the video, and all the things which can catch you out. But go on, don't tease us any longer. Let's talk about what's in your list.
Right, so the list is built around how many CPs I need, essentially. So all I need is 2 battalions. Anything more than that, in my opinion, is a bit of a waste. So simply to get those 2 battalions, I'm rocking all the characters that provide me with all the buffs needed with the minimum amount of cost. So a lot of players, and we can go on to some of the sort of mistakes I see people make in terms of using Blood Angels, but I go for Ashtaroth because he's a huge force multiplier with 2 litanies and also a once per game ability. For his 105 points, he's incredible. I then go for Lamartes because not only is he a chaplain as well, so he gets another litany, but you also get his inbuilt ability for the Death Company. And same with Ashtaroth, he gives a Death Company ability as well. Then I've got 3 units of scouts, just combat weapons as you would expect. In the role of the scouts, I see a lot of people talk about intercessors. in my opinion, if it's not a scout or it doesn't have a jump pack, it's not in the list. So the scouts provide me board pressure. They provide an early threat. And what they do is create pockets. And those pockets allow me to jump my characters into them. So if you want to kill my characters, you have to go for a unit or two of scouts first. And that's how the army operates. I never worry about backfield objectives. I just leave them alone. So I've essentially got those two characters, 3 units of scouts, and then I have a sanguinary ancient with the banner as a stand of the sacrifice. I then have a unit of 13 death company, because that's my lucky number, with five thunder hammers in that squad, and the rest have just got chainswords. And then I've got an 8-man unit of Vanguard veterans with storm shields, 2 fists, 2 hammers. So that's 1 battalion.
How many storm shields are in there?
All of them.
Exactly.
8,
yes.
Yeah, 2 fists, 2 hammers, 8 storm shields on 8 guys, and then obviously the chainswords on the others. Then in my other battalion, again, we've got a sanguinal, and I also take the priest with a jump pack. So they're my HQs. No smash captains.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll get onto, if you want later, why I think if you're taking a smash captain, you're hamstringing yourself. I really don't rate them in a Blood Angel mono army. In a mixed attack, in a mixed soup, different.
Yeah.
But in my style list, it's a waste of points.
Okay.
So then, go on. I
was going to say, just maybe talk about at the end what buffs each one gives, because
will do.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to do that. So then I've got the 3 units of scouts again, and then I've got a 3 units of 8 sanguinary guard, all the same loadout, 2 fists, 6 swords.
2 units
of 8, pretty much my list, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, 3 units. 3 units of 8.
Ah, that's where the pain comes. Okay.
3 units of 8, 2 fists, 6 swords in each squad. Yeah. So the buffs and the abilities. Lamarte's gives Death Company reroll hits and reroll charges. Excellent. Then I've got the his litany will normally be, it pretty much always is, +2 charge.
Yep.
Extra inches on your consolidation and your pile-ins. That's massive for Blood Angels. Ashtaroth will go for reroll misses, and then he'll also go for either the ability to buff himself up if I need that character to maybe kill a plane or something, but typically I'm probably nominating a unit to get an additional or exploding 6s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you say buff Ashtaroth up, he goes pretty darn good, doesn't he? When you give him the mantra of strength, doesn't he? He's an absolute beast.
Because he becomes, when you roll a 6+ for him to wound, he does 3 damage.
Yeah.
So that then becomes a 4 damage, but obviously because you're a Blood Angel, you get the +1 to wound. He's now 4 damage on 5s and 6s, which is why he makes a Smash Captain redundant if you ever need that toolbox character. So, but normally he goes for an exploding 6s litany. He also has a once per game ability where you can nominate one of your units at the start of the game, as long as you're within 6, or at the start of any battle round. I think it's start of your turn, start of the movement phase. Within 6 inches, you roll a dice, 2+, you get +1 to hit. If you roll a 1, you take a mortal wound. If you roll a 6, you get a +1 to hit, and you get a 4+ invulnerable save. So I always ensure he is 6 inches within my Death Company, because when those Thunder Hammers can hit on 2s with the minus takes them back to 3s, Lamarte's gives them, reroll failed hit rolls. Basically, you've got Death Company with reroll all their hits and exploding 6s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Sanguinal,
because he's at the start of the movement phase, isn't he? Because I remember his thing always being slightly awkward, because you couldn't drop in your Smash Captains, and you can't Vanguard them forwards with a Flawed Fury. So it was always that, I really want them to be to be anything but that wording which wasn't there.
It's the start. You're correct. It's the start of the movement. Because you do litany, start the battle round.
Yeah.
His ability start the movement phase. Yeah. And that typically will go on those Death Company for me. So then this is where the other abilities come in. The Sanguinary Ancient gives every model within 6 inches a 5+ feel no pain, unless it's a Death Company who don't get it because they already get a 6+.
So is that models or units within 6?
Models.
Models. So you've got to kind of bunch them up if you want to get everything. It's Feel No Pain, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's something that, I'll put my hand up. I've played incorrectly. I thought it was units, but it is models. So it's one of those things that, now it's definitely, well, ironically, it hasn't actually changed the way I deploy anyway, because I deploy my entire army, we can come on to that later, in a huge ball. And these are the little things that you just need to be like double, triple check your wordings on everything, because there are so many things that are one way in one thing in another. Like we said there with Ashtrath, you got his litanies in one phase, his ability in another. It's
and it makes a big difference to how things work, doesn't it? If you're getting the Ashtrath ability when you drop in, it'd be even more powerful than it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I've got the Sanguinor, who gives +1 attack to units within 6. And then I've got the Sanguinary Guard as well. Here's another thing. They get rerolls to hit if they're within 6 inches of your Warlord.
Yeah.
But that's, again, done in the mechanics of sort of fast dice rolls. You should do that individually as well.
Okay.
So it's not when your unit is within 6, it's when the model is within 6.
Oh, right, okay.
So again, it's a bit annoying, but yeah. Which is why I normally go for reroll misses with Ashtaroth, because then it just negates that whole issue completely. So a lot of the things, that you can just kind of negate through simpler play styles. And then the priest gives you +1 strength. So now everyone is strength 5, which means hammers and fists are strength 10, and then your swords are strength 5. So and with the +1 to wound, you're still wounding Marines on 2s in combat turn 1.
Yeah. So you're getting +1 strength, you've got a +1 to wound for your Blood Angels, and you're getting +1 attack, and then you're getting reroll attacks. Is that right? How I kept up so far.
Yeah, and you get an exploding 6s on a unit as well.
From Ashtrath.
And you also get reroll 1s to wound from your Sanguinary Ancient, because that's his inbuilt ability. He basically acts as a lieutenant, but only in combat.
Yeah.
So there's you can see how I call it the Fellowship of the Ring. Like, this is my little force moves together, and everything revolves around these 5 characters. But my Warlord will be the Sanguinor, because he's incredibly hard to kill, and he can also be quite a good one for Born for Greatness. So he becomes a Warlord, and his Warlord trait is he makes everyone fearless. So again, the way I deploy, that works well, because every unit within 6 is fearless. And obviously, because I'm taking quite big model base units, aren't I? So it works well. And then also, I take another relic, and this is the controversial one. Most people obviously go for the no Overwatch, don't they, relic, the Angel's Wings?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't take that one. And on the priest, I take the ability that gives him rerolls of any dice in the charge phase to units within 3 inches of him. So you now got, and obviously the Blood Angels get a natural +1 to charge, and normally I get the +2 because of the litany. So I need 7-inch charges with rerolling any of the dice on the charge.
Yes. Yeah.
Which makes my charges kind of, well, I just make them. Yeah. But this is like, I've had a few disagreements with people in like the Blood Angels group and stuff like that, and they're like, no, how do you ignore Overwatch? But the beauty of it is when you take this character and you know that you can afford to make long bomb charges, I call them. So like, I can have a unit, like my Death Company could be 3 inches away from the unit they want to charge, right? But I don't charge with them. I'll put a character like 10 inches away in cover. Yeah. So then I'll just send that one character in, or I'll send that unit of scouts in who are in cover, and they can take the Overwatch, or they won't be able to be Overwatched, but they're trying to make like a 10-inch charge with the +2s and 8, and I can re-roll any of the dice. So I can do that with like maybe 3 units of scouts all attempting that same charge, and I only need to make one of them. Yeah. And then the Death Company can go in. So
Yes.
yeah.
So definitely, I think there are no Overwatches at all. But you're right. You don't 100% need it, do you?
No.
So go on, let's talk about how do you set up this army? I mean, obviously it's going to change from game to game, but I want the viewers to kind of get a rough idea of, if you're playing a standard game, what sort of, do you have a go-to deployment you'd go for?
Yeah. So if I'm going first, which is preferable, I do like going first with Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Because obviously Blood Angels the Death Company can move pre-game, which is so good because you can get your 12-inch move plus your advance, and you get +1 to that advance roll. So that's incredible. Now, the only thing you have to make sure is when you do this is that although you might leap your unit forward, remember at the start of your movement phase, you need one of your Death Company models within 6 inches of Ashtaroth.
Yes, to buff them up, yeah.
So I literally make a conga line right down the middle of the board with that 2 CPs. So Ashtaroth goes on the front point of my line because I want to maximize every single inch I have. So Ashtaroth will go on the point. And in ITC, if you're going first or second, there's no Cs anymore. The scouts will forward deploy in terms of ruins. I'll probably, like I said, I'll use where I place objectives is very critical as well. I'll place those midfield, ideally, not in my own deployment zone. Because I don't want to be in my own deployment zone. And yeah, I'll just then deploy absolutely all my characters down it on the point, and then I'll put all of my models around it. So all of my Sanguinary Guard will go down on the table, and they'll all be benefiting from that aura because they're all within 6 inches.
Yeah.
And I literally deploy every model on the table. Don't put anything in reserve, unless I'm going second, in which that changes to the Death Company going in reserve.
Because they're a bit of a glass cannon, really, aren't they? They're not going to...
Yeah. Depending on
You've got
the army I'm facing.
You've got the strat for the 5 up. You've got the 5 up, Feel No Pain, which does make them a bit better, I guess.
And transhuman, that helps.
Okay, so everything's on the line. Death Company, if you're going first, there you go, forwards. And guys, from being a Blood Angel player myself as well, as an allies as such, it's amazing. Like, this stratagem with Forlorn Fury has been around for a very long time, but people continually get caught out with it. It's like, you just got to realise how far it is and measure it out, because it is obscene how far this unit can go.
Yep. I played against Grey Knights in my last game at the GT.
Yeah.
And he chose to go second. And it was Hammer and Anvil deployment. And... sorry, it was the Spearhead one, so it's like the pointy version of Hammer and Anvil. He deployed right in the corner because he likes to go second, likes to play KG.
Yeah, Grey Knights love deploying in the corner. They think they're so clever. They put all their little paladins just behind a little line of sight blocker, and all their characters behind it. It's just the most annoying thing, isn't it?
And I tabled him turn 1.
Good.
Because he put 50% of his army in deep strike, and I only had to kill like a few units in characters because of literally Fall on Fury, fight twice, boom, everything's dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Blood Angels, get the old school fight twice, where you don't have to be within an inch of a model anymore.
Yeah, you've just got to be within
which
12
is really
of your target.
strong.
Just within 12 of your target, and you declare that charge, then it's fair game.
Yep.
So, you're going to Forlorn Fury D6 +1 for being Blood Angels plus your 12-inch move, and then you're going to move another 12. It's you're going very far, aren't you? Then you've got your 2d6 charge +1 again, or +2, depending.
+2 normally, yeah.
With your reroll charge, you're getting. And
I can reroll any of the dice. Remember.
So,
because
with this, are you tend to go with the kill for this, or do you tend to try and get some early wraps off, or what's your general strategy?
It completely depends. If I feel like the hit will be so hard that I can take something out, then I will. If not, the problem with Death Company is they can't really, and this is what I'm constantly weighing up. If I get a wrap off, I need to make sure I can withstand the hit back in combat.
Yes. Because
although they can't shoot me, I'm still only toughness 4, the 3-up save. So if I'm not going to withstand the fight back, then I'm literally, or if I know they're going to maybe come in at me with piecemeal units, I can spend 2 CPs interrupt and then get another, phase out of them. But it's that judgment call between, do I wrap, do I do I just destroy as much as I possibly can? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a lot of CP investment, isn't it, to do that, what you're doing? You mean you're talking like five CP, is it, to boost up the board, fight twice?
Yeah, 5 CPs, yeah.
Yeah, 5 CP, and you presumably, they're a couple hundred points for a Death Company, are they? So you got to...
Yeah. I've got to bring my list up now so that I can tell you the points. So currently it's 298 points.
So you've got to get something pretty decent back in return for 290 points and 5 CP, haven't you? But, I find that Forlorn Fury is just such a powerful deployment mechanic, even if you don't use it, because your opponent has to effectively backline his force or deploy some sort of fancy moving block to stop you moving where you need to move.
Yeah. So, yes, it's 300 points, and yes, I'm probably going to lose that unit, but they have to deploy on the back line, because if they deploy anywhere between, if they kind of deploy back-ish, I'm still going to touch them. So they literally need to backline their army. I'm basically spending 5 CPs, 300 points to get 2 turns for free, because that's 2 turns where their movement is not changing the game state. So that's what I'm spending the resources on, is changing the game state.
I think it's hugely powerful, even from just using a Smash Captain, which you don't like, but I think are awesome. It's amazing that one character, how much of the board your opponent just can't go anywhere near.
Yeah.
And you've got the added ability that you can wrap stuff as opposed to just try and kill stuff like a Smash Captain. But I think it's absolutely amazing. And obviously, guys, if you don't know, it's got to be a Death Company unit which does that, or something which has the Death Company mark, so to speak. It can't be the Sanguinary Guard or the Vanguard Vets. It has to be that unit. So that's that unit. So that unit's literally deploying on the line along with Ashtrath and all the other guys, isn't he?
Yep.
Just for maximum threat.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I've played against some horrific matchups where I thought this ain't going to end well, but it's extremely tanky as well. The 5-up, because most high-powered weapons are -3 in the game maximum, and then so your Sanguinary Guard are getting a 5-up save outside of cover. So normally, if I'm going second, I won't fall on Fury, but I'll spend 2 CPs to get cover save. So now I've got a 1-up save. -3 puts me on a 4-up. Then I've got a 5-up save after that. So actually there, and then I can always transhuman a squad.
Is a 4-up essentially. So yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty resilient. Like I played a game the other night, which we've just done a battle report on. It is my Blood Angels going second to Dark Eldar, because I wanted to show how I literally deploy going second. Yeah. And in this battle report, turn 1, I lost. This is from 3 Ravagers, 3 planes firing at all with dizzies at 1 unit of Sanguinary Guard. I lost 6 out of 8. That's it. From 1 squad.
Wow.
Because they're just that resilient, and they're all -3/2 damage. Yeah.
Okay. So your Sanguinary Guard, you mentioned you put them all in a big blob, do you? Is that just round the 5-up Feel No Pain banner?
Yeah. All within 6, yeah.
All within 6.
So, only part of my model, as far as I'm aware, has to touch that 6-inch aura.
It's not wholly within, It's just models within.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so you don't put any of those in reserve to try and keep a deep strike threat?
No, because I still have a deep strike threat, which is 2 CPs redeploy unit. Now, my theory behind this is, if I can't hide everything, and I'll do what I can to obviously put units out of line of sight, use cover, use terrain, all that good stuff. But if what I found is, if you put, let's say, 1 or 2 units down on the table, it's really easy for your opponent just to pick on that 1 unit and then also screen you out. I never shoot a weapon in my I've probably shot a gun. I might shoot a gun once per game.
Yeah.
So people say, "Oh, you've got no, put some whirlwinds in to clear screens." I've got a jump pack. I can jump over a screen. Whereas if you deep strike, you have to take the screen. And that's the issue with the army, is that it's easily zoned out, it's easily screened out. So if your opponent's going to do that, you need to deploy in a way that plays your game. And this is what I found to be the most effective, is put it on the board, jump over the screens, wrap them on the backside. Yeah.
Because it's pointless hiding 1 unit in reserve and then just letting your opponent shoot the other unit. It's what I found when I played Custodies. It's like you either hide everything with the jet bikes, or you just put it all down there and just go for it.
You take it.
Yeah. Take it on the chin, see what happens. Okay.
Literally. And if you need to, you transhuman and you suck it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we mainly talked about you going first there. Is there anything you change if you go second?
So going second,
or you just got a more stern face on when you're...
When I go second, I put a stern face on.
Yeah.
But no, if I'm going second, I won't full on Fury. So those 2 CPs will get spent on the cover save.
Yeah.
Turn 1. And then depending on if they've got artillery, if they've got planes, if I've got an enclosed ruin, whatever it might be. If there is a ruin, now bear in mind, obviously, I'm looking at the table before. Yeah. I'm assessing their movement. I'm assessing their threat ranges. I'm looking at the angles. Sometimes I'll actually put the Death Company on the table and I'll spend 2 CPs to fall on Fury just into a more like hidden building up it. So actually then my turn 1, they're still a threat. Yeah, so that's an option.
And it gives you quite nice screens for your characters if they're not fast moving as well then, doesn't it? It's,
Absolutely, yeah. So that's an option. Or what I do is if I feel like their mobility's too good, or I'm just going to lose them, then I'm just going to put them in reserve. Or what sometimes I do, I just stick them on the table and I expect them to die. But then I know that my Vanguard Vets, my Sanguinary Guard units, because I've still got 4 big hitting hard units then, even if they die. But it takes a lot to, especially if I'm using terrain well, still clear out all those Death Company. So there's still an investment they have to make to clear them.
Yeah. I was going to say, so why the Vanguard Vets over more Sanguinary Guard?
Okay, so I found an 8-man unit of Sanguinary Guard kills anything I need them to.
Yeah, and is this all with fists or are you using swords on these guys?
Mainly swords. 6 in 2, so 6 swords, 2 fists.
Is that because you find that they're just a bit more reliable in terms of their hitting?
Yeah. And strength 5 plus 1 to wound is pretty efficient.
Yeah.
You're wounding knights on 4s with your swords, but then you're -4 AP when you get to the super doctrine stage.
Yeah, but I guess you're more tailoring around beating Marines, I'd have guessed.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it? So you want to kill intercessors dead.
Exactly. And when you got the nice stratagem 1 CP where you minimum damage 2, that's brilliant. That's a really good one to keep in your locker. If obviously they don't have a feel no pain, then it's just pointless. But yeah, I found that's a really good efficient way. Now, this is what I changed. I took out the Smash Captain and I put in the unit of Vanguard Vets. And that also I had enough points from making another little swap to then add on another hammer into my Death Company. So I normally had 4 hammers on my Death Company, adding in a 5th hammer. Now the Death Company get 2 base, +1 for charging with Death Company, +1 because of Sanguinor, +1 for charging, and then so that's 5 attacks per Death Company model. Okay, that's as good as a Smash Captain anyway. So I'd rather just spend 16 points to put 1 more hammer in my Death Company. And then the Vanguard Vets, I've swapped 1 model with a 3+ invulnerable save with 1 hammer, with 8 models, with Storm Shields, with the same save, but I've got 2 hammers in, and again are getting about 4 to 5 attacks per model. So I'm getting about 9 Thunderhammer attacks and about 8 Power Fist attacks out of this unit instead of 1 guy with 1 hammer.
Yeah.
And that's the change, yeah.
And it just makes your army a bit more durable, I guess, a bit of a bigger body count. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes I'll just bring them in a position, they're just going to sit in front of the characters, or they might be that unit I send in to take Overwatch. Like if I'm going against Tau, Riptides, I'll just go Transhuman, Vanguard Vets go in, 3 up, 5 up, and then they've got, you're wounding me on 4s minimum. Yeah, cool, I'll take the Overwatch with the Vanguard Vet. So it's got that utility that the other army does, the other portion of the army doesn't have.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's usually quite an overlooked unit, I think, for Blood Angels.
Yeah. So it's a utility piece in my army, yeah.
I've used them quite a lot for Raven Guard in my recent tournaments. I've absolutely loved them. But yeah, so they sound even better for Blood Angels, to be honest. So In terms of stratagems, you've talked about you're going to use your pre-game move or you're going to put them in cover. What else? How many CP do you usually start the game with?
So what am I starting with? 12, because I spend 1 on the extra relic. So yeah, 12 CPs.
So what sort of things are you using them for? Is it all fight twice you're going for?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much 2 CPs, fall on fury, and then that takes me down to 10. Then I fight twice, and I've got 1 more floating CP, which will either be the minimum damage 2, it could be for a crucial reroll, like if Ashtaraf rolls a 1 on his once per game ability, I'll just reroll that into hopefully a 2. Or it will be a case of spending the 1 CP on, which we spoke about earlier, where you can heroically intervene with any unit 6 inches. Oh, it's incredible. And it's great to see Space Wolves have that as well now.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, God, I love that ability. I absolutely love it. So I think... One other question. What do you do with your scouts? Do you go... Because you've got 30 close combat scouts, haven't you? Do you go for the full-on scout rush? Or do you try and hide them around out of line of sight blockers to try and like screen your characters off? You mentioned you make pockets with them, so
yeah, I'll make pockets for the characters because I'll come on to characters shortly. So if I go second, I'm not going to try and rush them, obviously, because I'm just going to lose 30 scouts. I'll deploy them in ruins, just so that I'm giving my opponent the hardest job possible.
Yeah.
If, however, they've gone for Butcher's Bill on me, I'll be half tempted to waste all 6 units of scouts turn 1. And I'll bait them into killing all of them, because then it becomes impossible for them to get Butcher's Bill. Yeah.
That's really clever, yeah. Because the rest of your units are tough as nails, aren't they?
You ain't going to kill... You're going to be, like, struggling, because most people...
full-on scouts charge across the board turn 1.
Yeah, be like, oh, you killed all my units of scouts. Cool, you get kill more that first turn, but I'm getting kill more every other turn now. And you can't get your Butcher's Bill.
That's a really good idea, just for literally just hamstringing your opponent. The discipline you need to have something ultra squishy on your lines and not kill it.
Yep.
And scouts, from experience from running double battalions at least of scouts, they just love to die. You can run them in against Overwatch. You could do all sorts of things.
Yep. So it's a real horrible tactic.
I hadn't considered that before. I really like that.
Yeah. Mate, it's just pure mind games.
Yeah. No, I really like it. No, I'm definitely going to do that in future.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just do that, and they're like,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about like I'm really hot on like, and I sort of bit of a cheeky plug, but I talk about this on my mentorship program all the time. I teach people how to manipulate the scoreboard. Yeah. Because it is obviously we're playing a game which is based on mathematics and statistics and probability. So why are you not also controlling the scoreboard? So straight away, I'll know pre-game, depending on what secondaries they pick, I'll know how many secondary points I'll let you score against me.
Yeah, that's a big one because, if they've literally taken Butcher's Bill, they'll get 1, and then you're probably going to get kill more the next 3 or 4 turns at least. So that's a big swing just from them butchering 30 scouts who just love to die.
They'll probably they either go Mark for Death, could do that on me because I've got 4 or 5 big units that have to die, or they'll go Headhunter because I've got extremely aggressive characters.
Yeah, they're semi-suicidal characters, aren't they?
Well, you think, but mine aren't, because getting back to I try not to charge with my characters. I try not to I feel like with my characters, if they're in combat, I've already won the game. If I'm charging in, I've already won the game with my characters. And if I find myself in combat in any other sort of situation, it's because I've already lost. Because my units didn't do their job. Yeah.
I guess your army falls apart as soon as you get to the characters, doesn't it? Once all those buffs, the +1 attack, the +1 strength, the 5-up feel no pain goes down, then it's it's a little bit harder. Okay, so we talked about how your army sets up. I think the next thing to talk about is what are your aims turn 1 and turn 2? What do you hope to try and achieve?
So turn 1, I'm literally just trying to get the bonus point, because I'm probably going to play really. If I don't go first, and I feel like I don't. Sometimes the fall on Fury stratagem, or strategy, should we say, is just too risky. So therefore, I'll just play really cagey, and I won't even try and get a kill. I'll let my opponent get kill more, but I'm going to get hold more, and I'm going to get the bonus point. So therefore, we're on an equal playing field at this point. And actually, I don't even need to engage my opponent if I can just get hold more every turn and the bonus point, which is quite easy to achieve with Blood Angels because my board threat is so big. And essentially I'm moving this death ball through the middle of the table, and I'm going to hold it in the middle of the ground, and I'm going to pick off, in my opinion, the lowest hanging fruit. So my kills, I'll always ensure that I can either wrap it, or I'm going to kill something that's going to eventually stop you from killing my entire army, and I'll trade a piece at a time. Even if I gave you kill more every turn, if I get hold more in the bonus, then it comes down to secondaries. And if I'm in control of the game and I've manipulated the scoreboard well enough, I can prevent you getting your secondaries, and it'll be really hard for you to stop me from getting mine, because I can choose very much like recon, king of the hill, engineers, king of what did I say? I already said king of the hill, ground control. I can, or behind enemy lines, I can just go right. Here's a turn where I'll just send 3 units to get behind enemy lines for me. That's 3 units of scouts advance. Cool. That's 2 that turn. Send another unit over. So it's really hard for you to stop me getting my secondaries, but it's really easy for me to stop you getting yours.
Yeah, and what are good picks against you? Because we mentioned characters were potentially a bit of a trap against you. Butcher's Bill.
Reaper's not bad.
Yeah. Particularly now you can get it against Marines pretty nicely, actually, because it's per wound, not per model.
In Sanguinary Guard of 2 wounds each.
Mm.
So I've got 3 units of 8. What's that? Maths I can't do. How many? Yeah.
We've got 30 scouts, and then we've got, let's say, 24. So you've got 24. So you've got nearly 50 wounds of Sanguinary Guard, haven't you?
Yeah. So I've got 8 times 3, 24, times that by 2, there's 48 wounds there, plus 13 from the Death Company, plus another 8 from the Vanguard Vets, and then another 30 scouts. So there's 99 wounds there in models. So, I mean, you still have to kill a lot, though. But
you've still got to get 80 for Reaper, isn't it? So you've practically got to table you to get that.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard.
But you'll probably get 2 or 3 points on it.
If you go Mark for Death, Now I've got that, and this was another factor for me bringing in the Vanguard Vets. Before I just had 4 units out of 4. Now you've got to pick 4 out of 5 hard hitting units, so I can actually play defense with 1, and maybe even keep them as an engineer. So sometimes I'll use a Sanguinary Guard unit as an engineer unit, and that means if you've marked them, you're not going to score that, but I'm going to guarantee 4 points for engineers because you're not going to kill them.
Yeah, hiding out of line of sight at the back of the board.
Yeah. And I've still got 4 other big hit and hard units.
Okay, so we thought Reaper was not bad. Something your army's good at yourself. And then if you had to choose a second killy one?
Probably Mark for Death then, yeah. Or no, probably Headhunter, because it just means I cannot.
It's forcing how you're playing, isn't it, basically?
That does force the way I play, yeah.
Yeah. Which is worth something in itself. And you'll probably get to 1 or 2 of the characters, particularly if you've got a lot of snipers. Because I guess you're going to struggle against sniper-heavy Marine builds, aren't you?
Yeah, that's a problem, yeah.
So I guess it depends on what your army's good at killing, which comes down to most of the kill things, to be fair, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's turn 1. Do you try and do anything different turn 2, turn 3? Or is it just move up the board, try and wrap things, try and just rack up the score and just score your secondaries? Or are you trying to do anything specific?
No, it is literally like you said that. I'm actually playing really cagey, unless you make a mistake, and then I'll punish you for it. So I'm waiting to either you make a mistake and you give me an opening, or I wait till turn 3 where I can go crazy and I get that extra attack on turn 3.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll just go all in with every unit, because then I'm setting up the fact that you're going to receive a charge from the Death Company, the Vanguard Vets, the 3 units. So you're going to get 5 hard-hitting combat units all turn 1. So even if you've got a hard-hitting unit like Possessed, you can pick up one of my units, that's fine, but I've still got 4 other units that are going to take off the rest of your army.
Yeah.
Because you can only interrupt combat once.
Scary stuff. Okay, I think that's the main thing there. What do you think? What do you think people can do against you in terms of trying to kill you? I mean, what do you think? What do you think works well?
Eldar hurt me badly. Eldar are a problem. Against Eldar, I cannot play KG.
Is that because they're too fast?
They got great mobility, and a lot of their weapons are strength 6 -3, D3 or 2 damage. Hurts so much. So against Eldar, I have to play super aggressive. I can't play KG.
So you're just relying on sort of turn 1 pain, basically, are you?
Yeah, or everything on the board, and I'm coming at you big time.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to take hits. So that's a problem. Tau, Tau's a close game. Tau's a
Tau
really
with the new upgrades, they're quite scary now. That crazy Riptide
relic gun.
Yeah.
So Tau all
I've been on the
depends
receiving end of that recently. It wasn't pretty.
God. Yeah, because my one of the guys on my channel, Jack, me and him played at the GT. So I had to in the GT that I won. I had to beat Ben Jones on my team. He had his Shining Spears, Grotesques, and Wraithblade list, and then I played into Jack with his triple Riptide list. So I didn't have an easy run. But that relic gun is disgusting. Yeah. But that was a super tense game between me and Jack. It was the closest game me and him have ever had. It was, literally came down to like a point. In the last 3 turns of the game, I didn't do anything. I just sat still to score points.
Okay, so target priority. If I'm going up against you, what are the things which are going to hurt the most? If you put all your army on the table and you're going to take the pain, what should I be trying to shoot first? What is the key? Is it trying to go after your Sanguinary Guard, or is it going after the Death Company first if they're on the line?
Depending on your army construct, you don't want, like I said, you can actually kill the Death Company in combat, providing you've got some sort of like decent counterpunch. So you're going to expect them to charge you, and this is where the Blood Angel player has to be extremely disciplined, because it's like I said, it's very easy to make a mistake with these guys. You charge the wrong unit, you get countercharged, you don't do much, but you lose everything in return. So I think where possible, you pick on the units that aren't within the range of the banner, and you get rid of that banner as quickly as you can. By any means necessary, you get rid of that banner, because the banner keeps the army alive.
Yeah, and do you try and bait out the transhuman and then switch targets? Because you've got a lot of units which are essentially the same, aren't you? They're all doing roughly the same. They're all hard hitting and in melee, aren't you? So you'd wait for them to transhuman and then choose something else. Yeah. And if you don't bait out the transhuman, then they've not used it, I guess. So
yeah. Also, you got to remember that Blood Angels really rely on their. So I conga line everything back. So normally I'll conga line back 2 or 3's Sanguinary Guard just so 5 can hit hard. Now I can't do that if you've taken out 2 or 3 of the members of the squad. So actually, by split firing, and I really shouldn't be telling you this, but by split firing against me and just weakening all my units, it therefore means when I come to invest in them, like to fight twice, I might be fighting twice with 5 Sangers. I'm probably not going to do it. That's how you just slowly like break it down by piecemeal. But then you've got to have good board control, because you're also not going to get the kill more. So that's where you've got to be disciplined in killing the scouts.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've essentially got to make sure you always get kill more versus you, haven't you? Because you're going to be getting hold more unless you've got some really good tricks up your sleeve. Yeah. Okay.
Now I think the Space Wolf matchup is going to be dreadful for me.
Why is that?
Because I've just written a list with triple 10-man units of Wolfen, and they hit harder, and when I kill them they just kill me back. So any mechanic like that is just so good. So I'm dreading playing the 30 Wolfen list, that because I made the Wolfen list. In the Wolfen list we can talk about another time, but basically it's like 2 character dreads, a couple of buffing characters, 3 units of incursors, 30 Wolfen, and that just annihilates Blood Angels.
Yes, because for everything you kill, they kill you.
Yep.
And it wouldn't be 8th edition without a character dread, would it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can have 2 which look cool and are thematic. They're not just a Chaplain Dread. They're actually Bjorn in Murderfang.
Come to think of it, you haven't got your Libby Dread in there.
No. Don't have Mephiston either. No.
Oh. No,
too expensive. Yeah. Like, is it in a...
I had a love-hate relationship with the Libby Dread in that it was really cool, but it's just such a pain to try and get him in an angle where you could ignore Overwatch was my thing, because you can't run through walls. And I think that's why eventually I dropped him from my list, is because literally you just can't. It's just so annoying having a vehicle keyword.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and he's a lot of points, and you fell that Wings of Sanguinarius. Okay, great. It's cool.
Or every Iron Hand player, which is half the tournament at one point, was just going, no, you're not having that. 4 up, deny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it has to stay on the ground, just poking up at this flying thing.
Yeah. Like I said, the way my army works is my characters are force multipliers.
Yeah.
Like the Sanguinor is okay in combat. Ashtaroth is pretty decent if you buff him up. Lamartes is good, but if they're in combat, I've played my game wrong, or I've played it really right, and you're losing anyway. So
yeah,
they're just having fun swinging. But it is really a case of in a soup army, put them in because it's cool. A Libby Dread, a Smash Captain can give you tools, maybe like in a guard list and an AdMech list, which you don't have. But in a pure mono faction Blood Angels, your Death Company, they've got hammers. Vanguard Vets have got hammers. Like, leave your hammers to the boys that wield them better than just characters.
And I think to actually buff up a Smash Captain, you've got to do quite a lot of things to them. You've got to give him the Black Rage. That's 1 CP. You've got to kind of give him a Warlord trait. You've got to give him a relic. So you're looking at, that's 3 CP so far. And then you get your 2 CP to pre-game move, so you're up to 5. And then 1 to get an extra D3 attack, so you're up to 6. And then you're going to fight twice, so you're looking at 9 CP to get that guy. So that's all your CP gone nearly. You'd have 3 left, wouldn't you?
Whereas with me, like, you compare it, I can fight twice with my Death Company. Then I can fight twice in another turn with my Sangers, fight twice another turn with my other unit of Sangers, and I can, I could actually fight twice 4 times if that was the only stratagem I used.
Okay, next thing I want to talk about is that there's a few things which catch people out with Blood Angels, isn't there? I've certainly found, particularly the heroic intervention one is potentially game-changing. And the way you deploy with all of your Sanguinary Guard around the banner means that if I charge you, you can potentially pile in, you can even block my actual pile-ins or base-to-base me in such a way, and then I'm going to get murdered in return as well, which is never good.
Yeah. No, I think that one's massive because you probably don't want to declare them either. Like, most people just declare the unit they want to charge, don't they? They don't think about going, all right, well, and remember that because I've deployed in the way that I have, if you're going to declare all 3 units of Sanguinary Guard, that's a lot of Overwatch. And remember, I can reroll miss hits. So, each unit's got, each guy gets 2 shots each, so that's 16 shots. Them strength 4 -1, or if it's turn 2, they're -2. So they're actually not bad when they're re-rolling all misses near my Warlord. So there's a lot of firepower you have to declare them all, because otherwise one unit, in the way that I deploy as well my models, because I've got jump packs, this is the real strength of the list. And I'll go into this in more detail, but I deploy all my models, like if this is one squad here, if you can see my hand, then I'll put the other squad in between.
Yeah. There's definite strength in doing it. I used to do that quite a lot with my Deathwatch because they had heroic intervention, and you could really screw up people's assaults just by like piling in the other unit between them.
Yep, absolutely. It's a really good technique. So you do stuff like that. It's crazy.
Be said for that. But for the love of God, you have to mark your models if you're doing this. I got bases for my Deathwatch with like different colours on them because they just drove me mad otherwise.
I've got so on my Sangers, I've got 1 shoulder pad, 1 unit's red, 1 unit's white, 1 unit's black. So I got like black feathers, red feathers, white feathers, depending on the unit. So exactly the same. It has to be very, very clear. Otherwise, it's a nightmare. And even so, I've still got a lot of gold boys. Yeah, maybe coloured bases would be another easy. And you can end up wasting so much time with the Blood Angels, because this is the Blood Angels' biggest downfall, which is why I think it is a very high skill level army, is because of the time component. Because if you're trying to get a wrap off, if you cannot instantly do it, then you're going to waste 20 minutes trying to do a correct combat and wrap.
Yeah.
So, which is why I don't have any psychic powers. Don't have to waste time in that phase. I don't shoot any guns. I don't have to waste time in that phase. I don't bother overwatching. So I just don't play in, 60% of the phases, because all I want to do is move into charge.
Yeah. I think the way I learned to rap was literally you just put it all on the table and you just keep doing it until you get it right. Because actually, it's so subtle, the differences. It is. I've done a video on how you can counter people doing raps, and I'll put it in the description below, because there's some really cool things in there with using transports and using terrain and stuff. And if the Blood Angel player doesn't do it perfectly, and I think this is one area of the game you can be pretty anal about things, because they're trying to do something which is they're technically allowed to do. It wasn't ever part of the original game when the game designers did this thing. They weren't thinking, oh, we'll just let people trap other people in combat.
Well, see, I've just because I've just made a video on how to rap with Sanguinary Guard, right?
Yep.
And it'll be going on my YouTube shortly. But I think it's actually very thematic, because I said in my video that, in you watch like a bank robbery movie, you always take someone hostage to make sure people can't shoot you.
Yeah, sure.
And that's literally what you're doing. Is you're like, you've got this guy, you've surrounded him, he ain't going anywhere. You've took him hostage, and you're like, right, we've got this nailed, guys. We're taking this unit hostage. You're moving them up the field. And I think it's cool. I think it's like when you get into the game, the thematic of it, it's pretty cool. I think.
I think it's definitely an accepted part of 40k, but what I'm saying is that it's a skill based thing. It's not something which was part of the game designer's thing. So if you can learn a way of getting out of it, you should be equally skilled at being able to do that. And you should force the Blood Angels player to go, actually, you can wrap me, fair play, but you're going to do it properly, and I'm going to try and get out of it. And there are ways to get out of it. You can interrupt in combat. You can base them. You can force them to kill you. You can
use characters to heroically intervene, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. You can put flying transports or move your units in a way that you can create space when you fall back. There's lots of ways of doing it, or you can just stand near a ruin and just go up a level, which really irritates people. So there's definite ways of doing it. Just remember to go more than 6 inches back versus Blood Angels.
Yep. And that's a massive force multiplier. Is anytime you can change the movement in a unit, then it's huge, especially in my list, because it does revolve around movement. Basically, I win the game in the movement phase and the charge phase. The rest is optional. Yeah. And
I do love the assault phase, because I think the shooting armies are definitely easier to play. So if you can get a good assault army, it's fantastic to play. I'm not claiming to be as good as Steve is here at them, because my armies tend to be a bit mixed, but to go completely assault based is something completely different for me.
I tell you what, it really it's made me a much better player. It took my game to the next level. I feel so much more confident. Like most of my tactics are now habitual, so I can see it coming. I can look at how you've deployed and go, you've just made a mistake there. I'm going to capitalize that on in 2 turns time. You really took my game to that next level by forcing myself to play a list that only operates in one phase of the game. It's an extreme learning curve, but you get it. And I'm not talented at 40k, but I work hard. I practice what I preach, and because I'm obviously teaching 40k every single day, by teaching these basic, or not that all these advanced skills, you just nail them. So it's certainly changed the way I play.
Yeah, it's certainly I found from making the video tutorials I was doing on tactics and stuff. Because you spend so long actually making the whole video up, and you've got to think about everything in minute detail, and you've got to make sure you get it right. It's just ingrained, isn't it, after a while?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Which is why I'm looking at a Sisters army, which is very, very similar play style. Not to give too much away, but my new Scissors list, but that is even more brutal than this Blood Angel list. So I'm really excited to rock that out when it's all done.
So hopefully we'll have to get you back to do a crazy Sisters list review for us to explain all how it works.
Yeah. It is.
Well, when 40k starts up again, obviously, and we have tournaments to go to.
Yeah, but I mean,
hopefully 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please be in 2020.
It's my birthday in July, so I'm like, come on, please, can I play at least on my birthday? That'd be great. That's it. Do you know what is really humbling is that I am looking forward to just seeing my friends.
Yeah.
And it's something that we take for granted is people. We are always like thinking about what we don't have. We're always complaining, like you've got social media and it's like, oh, that person's got this and that person's got that. But actually you take the small things for granted. And certainly I'm never, ever going to say no if somebody says, do you want a game of 40k? I'm going to be like, absolutely, let's hang out. Let's just get a game in, because wow, is this in itself has shown me that, we can't take this hobby for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the whole thing doesn't last too long. But for people who aren't on lockdown yet, and if you are on lockdown, please do take this coronavirus seriously. I have to say, from my own experience of it, I haven't got it. Not yet anyway, but I work in healthcare in the emergency department, and we're seeing a huge amount of it. I was telling you before the video, we're seeing a huge amount of it over the last couple of weeks, particularly this week, and people are coming in with really severe pneumonias, and not just old people, young people as well. And it's really sad to see. So people in different countries, if you're not on lockdown yet, realise it's not just the flu. Not everyone gets affected severely, but there's so many people getting affected that, it's a massive problem. It's going to be a massive problem this year, I think. Not to put too much of a downer on it. Obviously, I see the more severe cases, but it is quite a thing. Yeah, and
I think the other, like, I'm really big on like the mental health of and physical health. Obviously, is my main background, but it's why I started doing my daily lives, because on the YouTube channel there, like, if you are feeling isolated, just come over, have a chat with me. We'll talk about 40k, talk with the rest of the guys. It's, because I don't want people to feel isolated in this time. And just that little bit of 30 minutes chat every day about 40k can sometimes just make you smile, make you laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring back a bit of normality, really, isn't it?
That's what it's all about, mate. And obviously, Andy, look, thanks so much for having me on again.
And keep doing
the work you're doing, mate, because it's absolutely fantastic to see. So top work, mate.
Good, and hopefully we'll get to play at a tournament soon if I ever make my way up to the top tables.
Yeah, mate, I'm dodging you, don't worry. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thanks buddy.
Take care, mate.
Bye.
See ya.